Today we're looking at Krishna's Granade. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Krishna's Granade is kind of an reddish brown that is a part of their specialty series of inks. And to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do my writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into Pierre Cardin President with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this pink that pushes up straight into this kind of magenta color, and then this very, very faint, like watered down highlighter blue across the top. That's what gives us those brown tones. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And while it basically performs the same, it's much darker as it pushes up. It is not as eager to move up the page, and the line across the bottom is certainly darker than the one on the original chromatography. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, we see immediately this ink does not like reactivation of any kind. I would not use this in a note-taking situation. I think you would lose what you wrote. Water reactivates and lifts most of that ink up off the page. Now, I do start to see some of the white of the paper coming through, which makes me feel that water's all I'm going to need. Pen flush does everything that water does. Nothing more. I do see some of the white of the paper coming through. I just think that water's all that's needed here. Now, bleach completely removes it and leaves a little bit of yellow staining behind, which we've seen before. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Krishna's Granade has a viscosity of 2.37, making it a very normal flowing ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper with the extra fine and medium nib. For the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Krishna's Granade, I always want to say Granade, has an average dry time of 12 seconds, making it a faster drying ink. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in bottle form. Yep, in bottle form. It's going to take a little while to get through that ink, I think. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It offers shading, but like it's losing its color. I mean, look at the N. The shading it's offering, it's like it's dying. Extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade in the writing, 7 seconds to dry. The medium gives us the exact same tone as the extra fine, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 12 seconds to dry. This is a smeary ink when you're writing with it. It's a very smeary ink. Extra fine and medium. Scrubbies both show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. The smear test, you could likely recover this if you smeared it, which is good because it's a smeary ink. Tomoe River, no bleeding. Yes, we get ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. That dead color, that dying red color. It's not even like it's faded. It really... it's really... Anyway, extra fine, darker tone, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. The medium a noticeably darker tone from the extra fine, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It took 18 seconds to get there.
The scrubby of both show us no color variation. We saw no color variation. The smear test, hey, good news, you could likely recover this smear if you smeared it. I got a whole bottle of this stuff. Rhodia, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. That same dead tone for this. I don't know how else to describe it. It's... Extra fine's a noticeably darker tone with no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 8 seconds to dry. Very noticeably darker tone with the medium. Here it looks okay. Here it looks okay to me. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 13 seconds to dry, but the color is very nice. The scrubby for both the extra fine and the medium show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. And the smear test says you can likely recover it. So I tested this out on yellow rhodia because the tones are just so bad. No bleeding, no ghosting. What happens to the tone of the ink? Well, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. It keeps that sort of dead tone for the 1.1. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. Lifeless red. Lifeless red there. It's a dying red. The extra fine has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It does show little bits of color variation. The K is a bit darker than the rest of quick. The O is a little lighter than the rest of over. The G is a little bit darker than the rest of dog, but that's about it. 8 seconds to dry. The medium and noticeably darker tone, I don't like it on the yellow paper. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine shows us a little bit of color variation. We saw moments of it in the writing. The medium shows us none. We didn't get any. The smear test, you can recover this if that's really what you want with this ink. The hazel paper. So I point it out every single time because people need to go get these notebooks. These notebooks are really stand out, fantastic paper, very toothy, but they perform amazing. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade in that lifeless, dead red color. It's a dead tone to me. The extra fine's a noticeably darker tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 4 seconds to dry. Noticeably darker tone again for the medium with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 6 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows we're not getting any color variation. We didn't in the writing sample. The smear test says luckily you can recover this if you were to smear when you were writing it. And for a walk-around notebook that can be very important. So this is the Bristol board. It's a Bristol paper. Artists use it a lot. That's obviously not this ink. That's because I'm sloppy. But we get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. It's so dead. Ew. I don't think I've had to do that for Krishna, but ew. Extra fine's a noticeably darker tone. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 5 seconds to dry. Noticeably darker tone for the medium. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. This is a much more tolerable tone to me. The color looks nice here. 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows us that we're not getting any color variation. We got no color variation. And the smear test says you can likely recover if you smear, or for art, you can likely smear it to some effect. And that's all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Krishna's Granade, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now, being very magenta-y in tone with some of those browns, I really wanted a purple. And I chose Robert Oster's Purple Mojo because why not? It looks good together. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Krishna's Granade? To me, this is a dull, lifeless red. It's very, very uninteresting. And it's like it goes on the page with nothing to say. am very disappointed with this as a red or magenta color, but it's not in the color family that I enjoy the most. Thanks for watching.